Hello, everyone. Spencer Reese from militarymoneymanual.com. Jamie won't be joining me on this episode. We normally don't like to do timely episodes. We like to do a lot of evergreen content, but there is a government shutdown in the news. So I thought it would be useful if we talked about some of the shutdown assistance programs offered by the big military friendly banks like Navy Federal Credit Union and USAA, and go over a little bit of how to navigate the logistics of a government shutdown, the tactical things that you can do. So I'm recording this on October 8th in the East Coast time zone of the United States. And we're a couple days now into a full US federal government shutdown. Active duty military are still deemed mission essential, and you should have received your 1st of October paycheck because that's for work that was performed in September. You'll probably have to continue reporting to work, so check with your chain of command, your supervisor, your commander. And historically, your pay has been protected by last minute legislation. So usually there is a Pay Our Troops Act or similar style legislation where your pay will be protected. However, in the 2018 to 2019 government shutdown, 35 days, the U.S. Coast Guard was not paid and they missed paychecks. So it can happen. Just be aware that next week, October 15th, you might miss your paycheck. So, what can you do about it now? Well, Navy Federal, USAA both have government shutdown assistance programs, and I'm going to run through just some of the key benefits and how they work. So, for USAA, if you're a federal employee or a service member, USAA has several financial lifelines available. The main benefit is a zero interest loan. It's a 0% interest loan ranging from $500 to $6,000 based on your last paycheck that you had direct deposited. It's designed to bridge the gap when your paycheck is disrupted. You need to have direct deposit into a USAA checking or savings account shut up before the shutdown, at least one qualifying direct deposit in 30 days before, and a U.S. or military address, APO, FPO, DPO, and you also need to get credit approval. So this is a new thing that USAA has added where you need to apply for the loan. It's not just going to be automatic. And that's tripping some people up. So they're applying for the loan and they're not getting approved. So this is a good time to have an emergency fund. Repayment details on the loan. You have 3 months to repay the loan in 2 equal installments. So the first payment around 60 days and then the second around 90 days. Beyond the loan, USAA is offering payment relief on auto and property insurance, credit cards, consumer loans. Credit cards, you can get a 3-month payment extension. Consumer loans, a 2-month extension with no interest. Bank accounts are waiving overdraft fees. And on home equity lines of credits, they're doing a 3-month payment extension. For Navy Federal, they're offering a paycheck assistance program. Again, it's a 0% APR loan, no credit check. So that is a benefit to being with Navy Federal at the moment. They also won't report the loan to the credit bureaus. It's going to be based on your last direct deposit, again, from $250 to up to $6,000. For example, if your last direct deposit was $3,200, you'll be eligible for the $3,000 loan. If you're eligible, if your pay is impacted by the shutdown, you have direct deposit already set up with Navy Federal, and you're a federal employee, an active duty service member, or a federal contractor paid directly by the government. So a little bit broader than USAA. If you want funds on your normal pay date, you need to make sure you register on navyfederal.org by the day before your scheduled pay date. And then if you miss that window, you can still register up to 3 days after your payday. You just won't receive the pay, obviously, before then. The repayment is automatic. So once your direct deposit resumes, Navy Federal will automatically deduct the loan amount. So as soon as the government back pays you, and that's another key thing to mention there, is that you will be back paid for any missed payments. That's the law. So once the government reopens, you'll receive any back pay if you miss any paychecks. If the shutdown drags on, then repayment occurs 60 days after you receive the loan, whichever comes first. And another key thing to note here is security. So there's going to be a lot of scams around these programs. So make sure you're actually on USAA.com or NavyFederal.org when you're applying for these loans. And don't go through a payday lender. Don't go to an auto title loan company. Just go directly to the banks. Don't go through any intermediaries. If you get a phone call that claims to be from Navy Federal or USAA, hang up and call them back using a verified number. So either like through the app or again through NavyFederal.org or USAA.com. I'll also mention that the Service Credit Union, which is another popular military-friendly bank, is offering a similar government shutdown loan. 0% APR for up to 4 months, no payments for up to 90 days, and up to $5,000 for qualifying current members if and when pay is impacted. And they'd say that standard underwriting criteria applies, so they might make you apply and get a credit check in order to receive that. Jamie and I recorded another episode episode number 95 in 2023 when we were facing another government shutdown. So if you want to go listen to that one and see what's still relevant or what's not, you can go check that one out. But just to close out the episode, I just wanted to address a couple things. Number one is don't panic. This has happened before. It will likely happen again. This is a good time to watch out for scams, to kind of hunker down and make sure that you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your family and that you're using the resources that are available to you. There's aid societies for all branches. So the Air Force Aid Society covers Air Force and Space Force. They offer Falcon loans and standard assistance, most of them at 0%, up to 24 months of repayment. There's a Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. They have a quick assist loan and financial assistance available. The Army Emergency Relief also offers normally assistance the same day, but usually no more than 48 hours. And then the Coast Guard Mutual Assistance has a quick loan program up to $1,000. So you can use a military aid or relief society definitely before any kind of personal loan, payday loan, auto title loan, or if you're going to have to start paying credit card debt that you can't pay off before the due date. Make sure you reach out to one of these aid societies, either the Air Force Aid Society, Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, Army Emergency Relief, or Coast Guard Mutual Assistance. All the loans on those sites are interest-free and they have very generous repayment schedules. Okay, so number one is don't panic. Number two is you will be back paid. So military pay is typically protected at the 11th hour. Congress loves drama. They'll drag it out and pass a Pay Our Troops Act like on the 13th at midnight when that's the absolute last deadline. And there are assistance programs available, like I just described. And then number three is focus on what you can control and use this as motivation to build financial resilience. So some historical context, 2011, there was a near shutdown that was averted. 2013, the government shut down for 16 days. 2018 for 3 days. 2018 and 2019 shut down for 35 days. It's bipartisan political theater, and it happens regardless of which party controls Congress. It goes back and forth. Most of the time, military pay has been protected, but there was an exception where the Coast Guard wasn't paid and missed paychecks. And ask anybody in the Coast Guard, that was not fun. For veterans and retirees, your pay comes from a different pot of money, and that's protected. So VA disability payments will continue. Social Security payments will continue. Military pensions will continue to be paid. They all come from separate funding sources and don't rely on the government passing a continuing resolution. So some action steps that you can take. Immediate action steps are reduce non-essential expenses. Don't make big purchases or book travel at this time. Just wait for this whole situation to resolve itself. Contact your lenders, whether it's mortgage, car, rent, student loan, credit cards, and request a payment deferral. They might be generous depending on the terms or their understanding of what's happening with the government shutdown. You can apply for the 0% loans from military banks if you needed, or you can reach out to any of the aid societies for interest-free loans, like I mentioned, Air Force Aid Society, Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, Army Emergency Relief, or Coast Guard Mutual Assistance. Long-term, this is a great motivation to build an emergency fund. $1,000 minimum, probably $10,000 or more ideal. I see people on Reddit talk about how, oh, you're in the military, you don't really need an emergency fund, or you can use your Roth IRA as an emergency fund. No, this is the perfect example of when it pays to have an emergency fund. If you're in the military, you need an emergency fund of some amount of money, cash sitting in a bank, readily available. Don't wait to build that. You can also switch to a military friendly bank. So if you bank with Chase or Bank of America and they don't have one of these 0% loans that they're offering, this is a great opportunity to use the motivation to switch to a military friendly bank like USAA or Navy Federal. And then also, you can use this as motivation to break the paycheck to paycheck cycle. So, if missing one paycheck is going to radically derail your journey to financial freedom or financial success, or you're going to start missing payments because you're missing a single paycheck, you have a financial emergency. You need to start taking care of that. And as soon as the government shutdown is resolved, start taking care of that immediately. On the mental emotional side, just turn off the news. The constant updates increase anxiety without adding value. When this is all resolved, you'll know about it. And if it's not resolved, there's not a whole lot you can do other than the action steps we talked about previously. You can spend time with your family, you can hit the gym, but at the end of the day, you need to have a internal locus of control. So focus on what you can control and don't worry too much about what you can't control. If you got any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram at Military Money Manual. Government shutdowns can be a very stressful and painful time, but I hope that you've built an emergency fund so that you can weather this storm. And if you have, job well done. Like, this is why you have an emergency fund, and it's okay to tap into it. Once we start getting our back pay, you can fill up your emergency fund again. If you're at Navy Federal or USAA, you might want to take advantage of their 0% loans. And if you can't get those or you're not at either of those banks, take a look at the aid societies for interest free loans. Air Force Aid Society, Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, Army Emergency Relief, or Coast Guard Mutual Assistance. Again, Spencer, militarymoneymanual.com. I hope you found this valuable. Share it with other people in your unit or your squadron. They know the steps that they can take to help weather the storm of a government shutdown.